Hello, Teacher Melody's back. We are just done discussing about the definition and importance of doing adjustments or doing necessary adjusting entries for the itemized transactions which need to be adjusted at the end of the accounting period. We had also discussed and gave sample illustrations on accruing revenues, accruing expenses, recording pre-collections, and recording prepayments. Now, we will continue with the other accounts which need to be adjusted at the end of the accounting period. So, are we ready? Continuation of the most essential learning competency, the learner prepares adjusting entries. We'll continue with pre-collections. These are advanced collections of business revenues from customers which were not yet earned by the business. It means to say that the collection of revenues was already done, but there was no service rendered yet. So that of course falls as a liability, an incurred liability which needs to be recorded or be adjusted at the end of the accounting period, especially if this was already rendered to the customers. May be recognized initially as revenue or liability. So, the recording could be revenue method or liability method. Adjustments are necessary in order to avoid overstatement of revenue as the earning process has not yet been performed. Overstatement of revenue. Say for example, you have collected 50,000 cash as a service revenue from customer. But then part of it, of course, this portion was recognized as a liability because the service has not yet been rendered to the customer. But once it was, or a part of it, a portion of it was already rendered to the customer, then this portion of liability which was already rendered to the customer has or needs to be separated from the revenue portion or the liability portion of the business, of the account, in order not to overstate revenue. And also to avoid understatement of revenue because at the end of the accounting period, a portion of the advance collection may have been earned if recorded as liability. So as I've said a while back, if there's already a rendition of service, this revenue should already be, or this liability rendition should already be adjusted in order not to understate revenue. This is the reason why revenue liability account relationship exists in pre-collection. Why? Of course, you had already collected the income or the service revenue. You have not yet rendered the service. So that is a liability. A revenue liability account relationship exists in pre-collection or collected before service rendition. Thus, adjusting entries are necessary to separate the revenue portion from the liability portion of the pre-collected amount. Pre-collection is also known as deferred revenue. Under liability method of recording pre-collection or the statement of financial position method, the liability method initially records the advance collection as liability by using an unearned revenue account. At the end of the accounting period, the liability is overstated when a portion of the collection has been earned. You have already rendered the service. So it is thus necessary to reduce the recorded liability and recognize the portion of revenue earned during the period. So the format of adjusting entry would be debit on December 31, debit appropriate unearned revenue account, and then credit appropriate revenue account. Say for example, service income or service revenue to adjust the earned portion of liability account. That is under liability method of recording pre-collection. And then for the revenue method of recording pre-collection or the SCI method, revenue method of recording pre-collection initially records the entire amount of the advance collection as income earned. Thus, at the end of the accounting period, revenue account is overstated when a portion of the collection has not been fully earned. Hence, related revenue account must be reduced and the corresponding unearned revenue must be recognized. So the format of adjusting entry would be on December 31, we have to debit appropriate revenue account. Say for example, service revenue account. And then credit appropriate unearned revenue account or unearned service revenue to adjust the unearned portion of revenue account. So that is under the pre-collection revenue method of recording pre-collection or the SCI or Statement of Comprehensive Income method. So here is an example. On October 1, 2022, Jazz Company received in advance a rent income of 60,000 covering a period of 1 year. Of course, that rent income has not yet been used by the customer who paid in advance that rent income. On the part of Jazz Company received in advance the rent income without rendering yet the service. So, as of October 1, the initial journal entry would be under the liability method, debit cash of 60,000 and then full portion or the whole amount of advanced rent income collected will be credited unearned rent. It will all be recognized as a liability under liability method. So credit unearned rent of 60,000. But for the revenue method, all the collections will be recorded as or will be recognized as income even though the service was not yet rendered. So debit cash 60,000 and credit rent income 60,000. So the appropriate adjusting entry should be for liability method in order not to overstate liability unearned rent. We have to decrease the or reduce it by the expired portion or the used portion of rent or the already rendered to the customer. So, debit unearned rent 15,000 and credit rent income 15,000. So, from October to December 31, October, November, December. So, 3 months. So, 60,000 times 3 over 12. So, the unearned rent should be reduced by 15,000. We have to establish or we have to recognize rent income of 15,000. And then for the revenue method, as an adjustment, rent income should be reduced by 45,000 in order not to overstate the income account. And then credit unearned rent 45,000. So that is under the revenue method of recording pre-collection. Okay. Using the given example, the analysis would be for the liability method, required unearned rent is 60,000 times the unused portion or the unearned portion. From October to December, 3 months were already earned. There are still 9 months unearned portion of the rent income or the accrued rent income. So the required unearned rent 60,000 times 9 over 12 is 45,000. Then the recorded unearned rent 60,000. Deduct the required unearned rent from the recorded unearned rent. The decrease in unearned rent is 15,000. And then for the revenue method, the required rent income is 60,000 times 3 over 12 because that rent income has already been rendered to the customer. So 15,000. The recorded rent income 60,000. So deduct the required rent income from the recorded rent income in order to arrive at the decrease in rent income. So, as of December 31, 2022, there are 9 months, an unearned portion of the 60,000 advance collection and 3 months earned portion. So, even if the two methods are opposite, the final adjusted amount for unearned and rent income are just the same. Alright, let's proceed with depreciation. So depreciation is the allocation of the cost or the depreciable cost of tangible assets used in business over its estimated useful life in years in accordance with the systematic and rational allocation expense principle of accounting. So depreciation expense is the used portion of PPE or property, plants and equipments or the fixed assets. So take note that the PPEs or fixed assets except land which are used in business but not recorded as inventory for sale are subject to depreciation. For example, the building, the furnitures and fixtures, and the equipment. So since they are expected to provide benefit over several years to the business, they should first be recorded as assets and their cost is gradually expensed over its useful life. So the format of adjusting entry for depreciation is to debit depreciation expense and then credit accumulated depreciation of the appropriate fixed asset account. Then to adjust for the depreciation of fixed asset over the period. Under depreciation, the formula for straight line method is as follows. So in computing for the depreciation expense, annual depreciation expense under straight line method is equal to acquisition cost. So how much you acquired that property, plant, and equipment less salvage value divided by the estimated useful life of that PPE in years. So note that the formula is expressed as an annual depreciation. Hence, as a general rule, if the fixed asset is acquired during the interim period of the year, only a portion of the annual depreciation shall be reported as depreciation expense. Acquisition cost is the historical cost. It usually includes the purchase price and other incidental costs to acquire and prepare the fixed asset for its intended use. Say for example, the purchase price is 100,000 plus you have incurred other incidental costs. Say for example, 20,000. 100,000 plus 20,000, 120,000 is the historical cost or the acquisition cost of that particular PPE. So that is the acquisition cost. Then salvage value, it refers to the scrap or the residual value of the fixed asset at the end of its useful life. Then estimated useful life is the estimated economic life of that particular fixed asset. So remember the formula in computing for depreciation or depreciation expense under the straight line method. Annual depreciation expense is equal to acquisition cost less salvage value divided by the estimated useful life in years. Okay, let's take as an example the given transaction. On January 1, 2022, Just Company acquired a computer intended for office use with an invoice price of 46,000 and transportation costs and installation costs of 500 and 1,500 respectively. So it was estimated to have a useful life of 5 years and a salvage value of 5,000. So remember that or take note that the computer is intended for office use. If the transaction says that is held for sale, that will be added to the inventory and that will not be, the depreciation will not be computed if that sale on sale that will be sold immediately to the buyer. So invoice price of 46,000 and transportation cost and installation cost of 500 and 1,500 respectively. So the transportation cost and installation cost will be added to the invoice price in order to get the purchase price of the or the acquisition price of the computer. So 46,000 plus 500, 46,500 plus 1,500, 48,000. So the acquisition cost of office equipment is 48,000. So the initial journal entry in acquiring the computer is debit office equipment as of January 1, 48,000 and cash credit 48,000 to record acquisition of computer for office use. So the computation invoice price 46,000 add incidental costs, the transportation and installation costs, 500 and 1,500 respectively, 2,000. So the total acquisition cost is 48,000. So remember that installation and transportation costs are capitalized because these are directly related in making the equipment ready for its intended use. Okay, for the adjusting journal entry, as of December 31, 2022, debit depreciation expense 8,600 and credit accumulated depreciation office equipment 8,600. So how did we arrive at that amount? So total acquisition cost of 48,000 less salvage value 5,000 equals depreciable cost of 43,000. Divided by the estimated economic life in years, which is 5 years, the annual depreciation expense is 8,600. So on December 31, the adjusting entry will be depreciation expense 8,600 and then credit accumulated depreciation office equipment 8,600. So how is the computation of book value? Office equipment at cost 48,000 less accumulated depreciation of office equipment 8,600. The net book value now of the depreciation as of December 31, 2022 is 39,400 pesos. So remember that the book value of fixed asset includes the remaining depreciable cost and the residual value of the asset. Book value is equal to the remaining depreciable cost and the residual value of the asset. Okay, any question with depreciation? Now we'll proceed with amortization. Amortization is the allocation of the acquisition cost of an intangible asset over its legal or accounting estimated life. Say for example, the goodwill, the franchise, copyright, patent, and trade names. So these are intangible assets. Their acquisition costs have to be allocated over their legal or accounting estimated life. So as a rule, goodwill that is internally developed is expensed immediately. But if acquired through purchase, goodwill is recorded as asset in the book of accounts. So if the goodwill is internally developed, remember, expense immediately. But if acquired through purchase, goodwill is recorded as asset in the books of accounts. So an intangible asset has no physical existence, but it provides the owner some selling and operational advantages over competitors. So it has no salvage value unless a third party is committed to purchase it. So the format of adjusting entry would be on December 31, you have to debit amortization expense and then credit appropriate intangible asset account to adjust the amortization of intangible asset at the end of the accounting period. Remember also that if the intangible asset ceases to provide competitive advantage to the owner, it must immediately be written off because it doesn't provide any more competitive advantage to the owner. So it must be write off already. It's already an expense. So it doesn't help the company or the owner already. Okay, take note of the formula for amortizing intangible asset. Annual amortization expense is equal to acquisition cost divided by legal life or useful life. So remember that intangible assets have no salvage value. So example, on January 1, 2022, Jazz Company acquired an exclusive right to produce and sell its internally developed laundry machine. So the initial journal entry would be, as of January 1, debit patent amounting to 200,000 and credit cash 200,000 to record acquisition of patent. So remember, again, the formula in computing for amortization expense for intangible assets. Annual amortization expense is equal to acquisition cost divided by legal life or useful life. So as of December 31, the adjusting journal entry will be debit amortization expense 20,000 and credit patent 20,000. So how was that? Acquisition cost of 200,000 divided by the estimated exclusive benefit of that intangible asset, 10 years. Annual amortization expense is 20,000. 200,000 divided by 10 equals 20,000. So after the adjustment, the composition of the original cost of patent will be 200,000. So after the adjustment, the composition of the original cost of patent will be, for the expired portion, the amortization expense is 20,000, and for the unexpired portion, the patent amounts to 180,000. So that is the composition of 200,000 patent after adjustment. So the expense portion of the intangible asset has been recognized already. That way, the value of the intangible asset will not be overstated. Alright, this ends our discussion in adjusting entry in a service business. I hope you will gladly apply what you have learned in varied learning tasks given to you. Just feel free to watch and rewatch the audiovisual presentations for you to understand, conceptualize, and comprehend more with the lessons. So thank you for actively listening and analyzing. God bless. Enjoy learning. See you.